sour apple, cherry, metamoon, whatever that tastes like, even things like butter and wasabi. We're in a world with seemingly unlimited vape flavors, but what is this actually doing to how likely we are to use the drugs? And is this specifically targeting people like teens? So as a drug scientist who studies tobacco, it's kind of a weird world out there right now for the science. So there are two kind of messages that we're trying to say, both at the same time, but they're kind of contradictory to one another. So the first message is that if you want to quit smoking, it might be a good step to actually start vaping. Now note that I say might be. I did an entire video on this. For a lot of people, moving from smoking to vaping actually does help with some of the harms of tobacco smoking. We know that that's harmful, but some people might find it harder to quit vaping, so maybe that transition is not as good. So we have this message one of like vaping could be beneficial in helping you quit smoking. But then there's a secondary message in that like vaping is not good as a thing to just start doing. Like if somebody is not a smoker, we don't want them to start vaping. And these are two different things. So trying to say like, hey, it is a better alternative to tobacco, but hey, you also shouldn't do it, that's really hard to get across. And now with vaping, you're adding in something that makes the messaging even more confusing, the aspect of flavors. So it could be that adding in a flavoring makes people more likely to actually transition from smoking cigarettes to vaping, which means that they're less likely to continue smoking cigarettes, which is a good thing. But flavoring might make it potentially more enticing for other people to start vaping, even if they haven't smoked first. So that's a bad thing. So what do we actually know? Basically nothing. So let me tell you all of the research that we've done on this. And let me just say that even when we've done this research, the meta-analysis says the quality of the research is poor, meaning that like it's not great science. So what we actually know, like the few little research findings that we have, they're not great quality. Like we need to do this research. We need to do a lot more of this research. So we know that adding flavors to e-cigarettes makes them more likely to be appealing to people and more likely to increase motivation to use an e-cigarette. Now, this is true of both people who smoked previously, so people who might be trying to quit and transition to e-cigs from cigarettes. And this is true both for people who have never smoked cigarettes and people who have smoked cigarettes. So it is seemingly more appealing both if you're trying to quit as well as if you just want to start. And that is where the problem lies. Like we don't want to promote that second group. We want to just kind of promote the first group. If we even want to do that, because as a reminder, switching from smoking to vaping is not necessarily great in all circumstances. It depends on how you're actually vaping. Now, people thought that e-cigs with flavors were typically less harmful than smoking in general, which is probably true, but they thought that they were just kind of less harmful in general. Now, this is a problem because the scant little evidence that we have right now says that flavoring might actually make e-cigs more harmful. Now, again, the problem with this is it's not good science. So most of this, if not all of this, has been done on cells. There have been no good studies in humans in terms of the long-term or short-term effects of flavoring. So it could increase harm, and it does in cells, but in humans? Now, those are just aspects of perception. So do people think it's harmful? Do they find it more appealing? Do they have increased motivation? That does not say anything about how likely they are to actually start using it. And in terms of that science, we don't have good evidence there. So there are a couple of studies that say like, oh yeah, flavoring might make it more likely for somebody to start smoking, but there are other studies that say, nah, it doesn't. Now, we do see that the marketing of these things matter. So there was a study that was looking at middle school students, giving them different kind of pictures of what different e-cigs look like. And they did not like the ones that looked like tobacco. They did not like the tobacco flavoring. But when you had kind of the flavor of grape plus a little picture of grape, they found that to be more fun and exciting. And they thought that other middle schoolers would like it more. So there's something about the aspect of marketing it with these fun flavors that might change things. But again, most of these studies are not great in terms of how they're actually run. We do not have the good science on this. So we have a lot of people going around saying things like, oh, and the flavorings make things far worse and they're more harmful. We don't know that as of right now. The little evidence that we do have says that people might be enticed by flavors, but it could be enticing them to quit smoking cigarettes and go to vaping, which might be a good thing, or it could be enticing them to start vaping in the first place, which is a bad thing. The next time you see fruit punch or tuna flavored vapes, think about the fact that we know basically nothing about what this is doing to the likelihood of vaping. And like be worried at least a little bit.